What is a floppy disk? If you're nostalgic for the old days of computing or just curious about how data was stored back then, you might be wondering what a floppy disk is. Let's take a trip down memory lane and explore this vintage technology. A floppy disk, often just called a floppy, is a type of removable magnetic storage medium. It's made up of a thin, flexible magnetic disk sealed in a rectangular plastic carrier. This carrier is designed to protect the delicate magnetic disk inside. There were several sizes of floppy disks, but the most common ones were the 8-inch, 5.25-inch, and 3.5-inch disks. The first floppy disks, introduced by IBM in 1971, were 8 inches in diameter and could store about 1 megabyte of data. Later, the 5.25-inch floppy came along, and it could store up to 1.22 megabytes. But the real star of the show was the 3.5-inch floppy, which debuted in the early 1980s and quickly became the standard for personal computers. The 3.5-inch floppy disk was particularly popular because it was more durable and had a higher storage capacity, ranging from 800 kilobytes to 2.8 megabytes, with the standard being 1.4 megabytes. These disks were double-sided, meaning they could store data on both sides of the magnetic medium. Inside the plastic carrier, there's a metal shutter that protects the magnetic disk when it's not in use. When you insert the floppy into a floppy disk drive, this shutter slides open, allowing the drive to read and write data on the disk. The disk itself is coated with magnetic oxide and has tracks and sectors where data is stored. To use a floppy disk, you needed a floppy disk drive, or FDD, which was usually built into the computer or connected externally. The drive would rotate the disk and move the read-write heads to access the data. You could write data to the disk by aligning the magnetization of the particles on the disk, and you could read data by detecting the changes in magnetization as the disk spun. Floppy disks also had a Write Protect tab that you could slide to prevent accidental overwriting of data. This was especially useful for software distribution, where you didn't want users to alter the original files. Despite their popularity in the 1980s and 1990s, floppy disks have largely been replaced by more modern storage solutions like USB flash drives, memory cards, and cloud storage. However, the icon of the floppy disk remains a familiar symbol in many software programs, serving as a nostalgic reminder of how far technology has come. So, there you have it, a brief look at what floppy disks are and how they worked. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or just someone who loves a bit of nostalgia, understanding floppy disks gives you a glimpse into the evolution of computer storage.